What's up, know-it-all world? This Big G coming to you with a Big G burner, man, that I've been wanting to get to for a while because it's been on my heart and mind. But first, before I say that, please will you like and subscribe to our channel, which is the Know-It-Alls. We have content out there that we're trying to get to our viewers and our subscribers, and we just want to make sure that you guys tie in and weigh in on some things that's really near and dear to all of us. My passion, which everybody knows, is college football. I love college football probably more than any sport out there. And even more so, I think now college football is turning to the NFL. I don't know if college football will ever go back to what I knew and loved as growing up a guy in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and watching the great Miami Hurricane teams, watching the one-time Ohio State team that was really good in 2002, watching some of those great USC Trojan teams that had Reggie Bush and all whatever else. I think that the college football landscape has changed forever. And this is really how I have supporting evidence, right? If you look at the recruiting classes that's happened across the nation, from the 2019 recruiting class all the way our current recruiting class of 2022, you have seen a marginalized difference for those powerhouse top teams to land prospects more than you've ever seen before. And you're not seeing it trickle down, in my opinion, to some of the smaller schools that had opportunities to even land some 3- and 4-star athletes. The anomaly of the Hunter defensive back going to Jackson State and Deion to get the number 2, which at one point was the number 1 ranked college football player in the whole country, that's going to be here and I'll never see again. Because I think that Deion has something that the kid wanted and something that Deion wanted. He was a number 1 prospect that could go play for the best defensive back, arguably, in NFL history. And to have Deion put his stamp of approval on this kid, I think definitely elevates his opportunity to possibly be a top 3 draft pick moving forward in the next 1 or 2 drafts. However, when I'm going back to my point, as far as these top schools landing top recruits, right? There was this tiffle or this fight or whatever you want to call it, a brawl between Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban a couple of weeks ago, where Nick Saban accused Jimbo Fisher of stealing and lying and saying he paid for all his players. Well, I'm gonna hit you with some facts. Do you realize and know that since 2019, Nick Saban has had at least the number 1 or the number 2 recruiting class since 2019?
Maybe good enough to add another national championship trophy to the old case downstairs?
That's kind of like my old man told me one time, Lynn. The only thing better than a crawfish dinner is 5 crawfish dinners.
He's legitimately landed anywhere between 5 and 7 of the top 40 players in college football. Unlike any other team out there, the only other team that's close with landing that many prospects is that you've had Georgia land 7 of the top 40 in the 2020 class, and Ohio State land 6 of the top 40 in the 2021 class. But you have never seen anything like Jimbo Fisher's 9-player ranked in the top 40 going to one particular school. And what you might ask yourself, well, what does that have to do with NIL and all that changing? Well, if you go back and look at the college football playoff that has happened since 2014, you've only had 4 schools that is not the same old schools appearing in the college football playoff. You had Michigan, Cincinnati, Oregon, and Washington. Since 2014 and now, that's the only oddball teams. You continually have the Bamas, the Clemsons, the Notre Dame, the Oklahomas, and the Ohio States. They've shown up every year. So now I think what you're going to see is the ramping up of this to where players who are getting NIL deals that look like NFL contracts go and play at those schools over and over and over again. The second part of this process is the expansion of the conferences. In 2023, the SEC, which everybody I know says that there's some bias going on with the SEC, will expand and add Oklahoma and Texas into their conference. What will this do to the landscape? Well, I'm telling you, it's going to change everything. I predict now that Ole Miss and Mississippi State will go from the SEC East to the SEC West, which in turn will make a power ability of that conference to now start and have its own playoff. So now you'll see the top two teams from the SEC East play against the top two teams from the SEC West. What is this going to do, ladies and gentlemen? This is going to cause the debate to where now you could get 3 SEC teams into the college football playoff, unlike the debate of the 2. So now you're also hearing the Big Ten talk about expansion and have a conference-less top 2 teams play for the championship over in Indianapolis. The expansion has touched down as far as in the state of North Carolina, where I've heard North Carolina State. I've heard Virginia Tech. But the Big Ten is also seeking and searching out and going out west and trying to get the USCs, the UCLAs, the Washingtons, and the Oregons to come aboard and join the Big Ten. Why are they doing this? Because college football now is going to be the NFL. You have regional games or outside of regional games that are great in the NFL. When you have the Pittsburghs playing the Cleveland, the Bengals playing the Ravens, the Dallas Cowboys playing the Philadelphia Eagles, the New England Patriots playing the New York Jets, the Kansas City Chiefs playing the now Los Angeles Chargers. These are regional games that drives fandom into a region. But how much further can you expand the viewership when you have a Seattle, which plays in Northwest, play a Miami, which plays in the South every other year? And I think that's what's going to happen in college football, especially if the Big Ten pulls it off and they go all the way to the West Coast and have where you're playing from Rutgers all the way to Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA. Can you imagine what the hype will be behind those games? And oh, by the way, the more hype you have, the more you generate money. The more you generate money, the more you can pay players. Right now, we have players in college football who have NIL deals that rival NFL contracts. For example, for our viewers, did you know the CJ Stroud, and keep in mind, there's 66 NFL quarterbacks because most teams carry 3 quarterbacks per roster. CJ Stroud makes more than 21 of those 66 players right now currently in the NFL with his NIL deal. And he just nicks the NIL deal to go from Bentleys to go all the way to Mercedes-Benz to get more money. Not to mention the guys like Bijan Robinson, the guys like Caleb Williams, the guy like Addison that just transferred from Pittsburgh out and made $3 million to go to USC. College football is becoming the landscape of the new NFL. So how do you fix it? Well, how you fix it is this. And is this a Big G hot take, simple answer? They are now professional athletes. Let's pay them as such. Let's get them in position to where they're going to play a 16-team playoff. And they're college athletes. They're there to play football and to get their education. I know it's unpopular. I know a lot of people don't like it. And to be honest, I really don't care. Because the truth of the matter is, or the just of the matter is, these athletes generate billions of dollars to the programs through the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the Pac-12. So I'm saying, let's call a spade a spade. Once again, this is Big G from the Know It Alls podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And I look to talk to you guys at a later date. Peace.